Will I still be holding Jasmy? The answer is yes, even though clearly as of right now, the altcoin space isn't doing the best. And also clearly Jasmy's been having a pretty big pullback as of late. But still, even despite that, I'm still holding. Again, even though nothing I say is financial advice, why am I doing that? Well, it's because, first of all, to me, the way to take a look at it was that Jasmy just less than a year ago. If we take a look at it back in December of 2024, the market cap was around 2 billion. If we take a look at the current market cap of Jasmy, it's around 400 million. So less than a year ago, the market cap was around a 5x from here. And I think that, if anything, showcases to me that even without an altcoin season, Jasmy had pretty good attention, actually. Now, it wasn't the best, but then it wasn't bad. And if I take a look at the idea of 25 cents, considering current circulating supply, market cap at that point would be around 12.5 billion. Keep in mind, again, not too long ago, the market cap of Jasmy was around 2 billion, less than a year ago, which in the grand scheme of things actually isn't even that long ago. And again, not too long ago, market cap around 2 billion, 12.5 billion is basically just around a 6x from that. So at one point, a $12.5 billion market cap wasn't even that far off. It wasn't like a 50x away. It wasn't like a 30x. Again, not too long ago, it was around a 6x. And I don't think that was even altcoin season. Now, historical performance doesn't guarantee future performance, but when I take a look at Jasmy, still, even despite the pullback, so to speak, the market cap still, isn't that bad, still in the hundreds of millions. Not to mention, when I take a look at just the idea, right, of going to 25 cents, it's currently around a 31x from here. It seems kind of far, but if my intention is the dollar cost average, I wouldn't necessarily mind seeing, temporarily speaking, low prices. Now, do I want to see low prices forever? Absolutely not. But then, again, if my intention is the dollar cost average, I wouldn't mind actually if the price was, quote unquote, not doing the best. Because again, if I'm waiting to only dollar cost average into Jasmy every single time the market cap is at a billion, that's kind of like, a lot of the journey is missed out along the way. That's the way to take a look at it. I don't want to wait for that. And literally, what I'm doing, I think, is quite simple personally to my perspective. I'm not telling you to do anything, but I am just dollar cost averaging once a month to my favorite projects, and that's pretty much about it. So when it comes to Jasmy, I've been holding for over 2 years. So that's over 24 times. Again, just every month, dollar cost average, and that's pretty much about it. So 12 months, 12 times. If I take a look at 2 years, 24 times. Again, 3 years, 36 times. Again, that's pretty much what I'm doing. I'm not really telling them to do anything, but for me, it's all about preparation, because when we take a look at Jasmy, let's say back in 2023, the sentiment wasn't good whatsoever. I remember holding Jasmy when the market cap was below 200 million and even around that kind of $160 million range and stuff like that, again, in terms of market cap. But at that time, Jasmy was kind of not really considered, right? And then after some time, it had a pretty good rally. The market cap, again, nearly reached 2 billion. Then there was a pullback. Then again, it went to around 2 billion. Then the pullback afterwards, we're kind of seeing that as of right now, even down all the way to around a $400 million market cap. But I think if anything, that showcases that, first of all, I'm not going to be able to know if Jasmy has that next leg up. The only thing I can do is just prepare. Much like I did last time, all I did was prepare. I was holding. That's pretty much it. I went along with the ride. But keep in mind, I'm still holding Jasmy still. I will not be able to know the exact moment in time. All I can do is literally just hold and just wait for that moment. Because I think what I saw not too long ago when it comes to Jasmy, it kind of showed a glimpse of what maybe it could do even without an altcoin season. Now, granted, some people like to say, oh, why don't you just exit at this moment, try to enter here and do that and whatnot. Again, I'm not going to be able to know the exact movements. Even if I put up a price chart and try to do that, I'm not going to be able to find that exact moment. The only thing I can do is just stay patient. If Jasmy, for whatever reason, goes to the price of 25 cents, would it really matter what I acquired Jasmy at below 5 cents, let's say? Or should I say whatever point? I don't really think so, personally, in my perspective, because even if, let's say, I acquired Jasmy at 5 cents, if Jasmy, for whatever reason, went to 25 cents, that's still a 5x. Would it really matter if I acquired Jasmy at 3 cents, 4 cents, 1 cent, 2 cents? Now, sure, acquiring it at 1 cent in that specific case would hypothetically be a lot more dynamic than 5 cents, but still. Now, in the short term, of course, if something is 3 cents and suddenly it goes to like 1 cent, then that's a pretty big, pullback, right? But in the grand scheme of things, if let's say 25 cents was ever the case, whether or not it's 1 cent, 2 cents, 3 cents, 4 cents, 5 cents, I don't know why I'd care about that actually, in the grand scheme of things. Now, if that were to ever even happen, I'm not saying it will, but I'm saying in a hypothetical scenario. It's like, for instance, Bitcoin is around 100 grand, right? Even despite the pullback. Whether or not, if let's say for whatever reason, if I acquired Bitcoin at a grand, which I clearly didn't, but I'm saying, if let's say I did, would it really matter if it's at a grand or let's say at 500, 300? If let's say Bitcoin's at 100 grand, why would it matter? I highly doubt that a lot of people who are holding Bitcoin back then and still holding right now, I highly doubt that again, they're in this group chat and saying, oh wow, I can't believe this person got it at 400 while I got it at 800. I don't think they're caring actually, again, if let's say Bitcoin's at around 100 grand. This is just my perspective. Like, for instance, if Jasmy ever went to 25 cents, I highly doubt that I'd be complaining as to what I acquired Jasmy at below 5 cents. This is just my perspective. Now, in the short term, maybe it's a different case, of course, because it's not good seeing things kind of have that drastic movement downwards. But in the long term, it's just not something I would really care about if, let's say, things do get better. But again, that is if, and I'm not saying that will happen, but this is just my perspective. However, to me as well, when I take a look at Jasmy, again, there's around supposedly 97,000 holders. Like, that's not bad, like, in my opinion. That's actually pretty impressive considering how Jasmy hasn't been doing the best as of late. And I still like the narrative when it comes to Jasmy. Again, they're very focused on data storage. And again, if we take a look at the global data storage market size, it is expected to be worth nearly 800 billion by 2030, according to Fortune Business Insights. So that's still pretty impressive. And when you think about it, Jasmy really doesn't have that much, I think, compelling options beyond itself, right? Because if I take a look at Filecoin, which I think is arguably the most popular kind of, project within this space, again, that data storage market within this space again, right? I think Jasmy is arguably number 2 in terms of kind of recognition and popularity. Now, there's other options too, like an Arweave, like, for instance, Storage, or should I say Storj, because it is spelled STORJ. Some people call it Storage, some people call it Storj. However, even besides that, there's also something called Siacoin. But if we take a look at beyond those 5 options, I think there's not really that many that are compelling to me. This is the way to take a look at it. In other market sectors, there seems to be 20, 30 famous competitors, but in this case, there's arguably 5 that are very recognizable in my opinion, and that doesn't seem like too many. So when it comes to, let's say, if there isn't even that many options to begin with, the probability of something within that space to kind of go along with the ride, if that market sector does become popular, logically speaking, it might hypothetically be better if, let's say, then there was like 20 or 30 competitors. That's the way to take a look at it, at least the ones that are pretty famous, I should say. But even besides that, I also think another pretty interesting narrative when it comes to Jasmy is Jiangshan. Now, Jiangshan, as of right now, isn't really talked about that much, which is totally understandable. Jasmy, as of right now, isn't as popular as it once was, so I'm totally aware of that. But still, Jiangshan, I think, is pretty cool because it is supposedly an incubation project under Jasmy. It's basically kind of this layer 2 for decentralized AI. So I still like it overall when it comes to Jasmy as a project. However, I haven't given up. I'm still holding, and that's pretty much about it. I just don't want to give up. I've been holding Jasmy for over 2 years. I just don't want to give up. That's the way to take a look at it. I'm not telling you to do anything, but this is personally what I'm doing, and I'm just still staying patient, and that's pretty much about it. And feel free to subscribe if you enjoyed this video. I'd greatly appreciate it, and I want to say thank you for watching. I hope you all have a nice day. It's been Lee the Captain, and I'll catch you all on the next one. I'm out. Peace. Bye.